Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Friday, March 16th. We are talking with Doug Upstone right now. Old friend Doug Upstone, continuing our team-by-team previews of the upcoming MLB season. Doug does his in-depth research every season for MLB, including attending some spring training games and just getting an in-person view of how these teams are doing. Doug, do you think you actually get any valuable information from actually attending the spring training games like you do every year?
Yes, I actually do it. That's why I've continued to do it. Among the things that you see is, you see how guys, particularly with pitchers, you see how they throw, and you see a variety of guys in different situations. Plus, then the other thing that you see, and this I can think of several different instances, but for example, you can tell about the confidence of a team. And I go back to Kansas City, the year that they went into the World Series and they lost to San Francisco the first time. In the spring, they looked okay, nothing great, but, you could see they had a lot of young talent. Then the year after that they had been to the World Series, the difference in the body language of every single player of Kansas City was just tremendous. I mean, it was completely opposite, and they went on to win the World Series that season. So that's just one example.
Yeah. All right. Well, I find your preseason analysis of what to expect from baseball teams coming up invaluable every year, Doug Upstone. Right now in this video, we're going to take a look at four teams: the Giants, the Rockies, the Royals, and the Diamondbacks. We'll start with the Giants, of course. Very, very interesting team. The market expecting a massive improvement for the Giants this year. Last year, they won 64 games. The current season win total for the Giants is 83 at Pinnacle, slightly juiced to the over. San Francisco Giants season win total, 83 wins minus 116. Juiced to the over, so almost 20-game improvement from the Giants expected by the market. Is that warranted, or maybe even underestimating what you expect from them this year?
Yeah, I'm not so sure on that one, Peter, to be perfectly honest. I'll tell you why. Is that, they went from 87 wins from the year before down to 64, and now they're going to go back up 19. I mean, it's improbable that they could fall that far, but they did. And it just seems like it's as improbable they could improve that much. Now, they're starting pitching. Baumgartner will be there the entire year, so that's a positive. So we have that going. But part of their problem last year, they just didn't hit at all. I mean, pretty much in every key important batting statistic that mattered, they were either 29th or 30th in major leagues last year. Now they've added Lawrence McCutcheon and Evan Longoria, which will help with the power aspect. And they still have a good core from the group that won 3 World Series. I'm just not sure that they're going to be all that much better. And you still have to look at their pitching. I mean, outside of Baumgartner, they got a bunch of guys that are either 500 or possibly below. The bullpen is not what it used to be. I'm inclined to actually think this is a 500 team, and so I'll lean with the under with the Giants.
Okay, under 83 minus 102 would be Doug Upstone's lean right now for the Giants. So you are expecting a significant improvement from them, or you think they'll be actually overvalued by the market? Because I'll tell you what, if San Francisco only wins like 70 games this year, they're probably going to be a good fade, because the market is certainly expecting a big improvement from them, and I think that improvement will be reflected in their money lines, at least in the early going. So it sounds like you're expecting maybe the Giants to be overvalued in the early going.
I think what it is, I think this team will play more to their talent level. Obviously, last year they weren't even close. I mean, they're better than what they played last year, but I'm not saying that they're a playoff team this year either. I guess that's more what I'm saying. So to answer your question specifically, I think their money lines will probably be pretty accurate as to what, and be reflected upon what their expected win total is. So I can't say there's any extra value. I'm just not sure that they're going to be a good bet this year, more than anything.
All right, now let's look at the Colorado Rockies. Always an interesting team. Sometimes a great bet at home and a terrible bet on the road. Last year, a nice team. They won 87 games. This year, Pinnacle right now has their season win total set at 81.5, minus 109 on both sides. So the market expecting a modest decline from Colorado this year. Is that what you're expecting as well?
I am not, Peter. This team, I like the direction of this team, and I'll tell you some reasons as to why. First of all, last year their pitching was a complete surprise. I mean, John Gray, their ace, didn't pitch for a good chunk of the season. yet they still survived and they came along. Now they hit the ball great, but really what set them up, especially the first 4 months of the season, was their young pitching staff. Now I expect a little bit of regression overall in their pitching staff, but I think Gray will help offset that. Plus, they made some tremendous moves in the bullpen area. So, I mean, they added Wade Davis, Brian Shaw as two key components there, especially on the back end of the bullpen. So I think that's going to help them a lot. It's a given they're going to score a lot of runs, right? I mean, we know Colorado's offense is always going to be good. So with that in mind, I like the direction of where this club is. I think they're still a playoff contender. And if they can just reduce some strikeouts just overall with this team, I think this team can come back and win 87 games again. I like them for the over, Peter.
All right, so you think that maybe the market isn't pricing in their improvements in the bullpen as much as it should be?
Exactly. I mean, because you look at how baseball is built these days. I mean, most teams don't have three reliable starters, let alone five. So they're dependent on the bullpen. And this team did, as I mentioned, a great job of supplying that. Maybe they were good last year. I think they're just going to be that much better. I think that's going to be a big key for them, which will help them not only at home, where they're always good, but also on the road.
Wow. If you're right about that one, Doug Upstone, before injuries possibly set in later on in the year, the Rockies might have some great line value to start the season then. Interesting analysis. Doug Upstone leaning over 81.5 wins at -109, which is the current line of Pinnacle for the Colorado Rockies. Now let's talk about the Kansas City Royals, right? Obviously last year, they won 80 games. Right now, Pinnacle has their season win total set at 71.5, massively juiced to the under. 71.5. The under right now at Pinnacle is -196. The over is +163. The market expecting a super massive regression from the Kansas City Royals this year. How much worse do you expect the Royals to be this year than they were last year, Doug Upstone?
I think the Royals are in a world of hurt. You look at it's happened so quickly. I mean, after literally decades of mediocrity, they rebuilt their farm system. Those guys all came up together. They had a 4-year window, went to the World Series twice and won one, and now they're right back where they started in 2010, nowhere. So I look at this team. There's nothing much there. You got Salvador Perez, who's sort of getting on the downside of his career as a catcher and not the defensive catcher that he used to be. Bonifacio looked like a good player to be in right field. Gone. 80 games, PED suspension. That hurts. Getting Mike Moustakas will help, and John Jay is an asset as about a 3-day-a-week starter, but the rest of the lineup, not much to get excited about. Look at their pitching staff. I like Danny Duffy. I like Junis as the other starter, but the bullpen is nowhere near what they were during championship level times. Even in a division as weak as the AL Central, I'm not sure this team's going to win more than 70. It's possible, but I think 70 is the right number for this team. They're going to lose a lot of games, Peter.
All right. It'll be interesting to see how the market prices their money lines because, of course, we remember a bunch of years ago when KC used to have a bad team year after year. They were sometimes undervalued and actually had a good bet on their big underdog lines. But since they've had, a bunch of successful seasons recently, maybe that won't be the case this year. Right now, the season win total 71.5, the under -196, the over is +163. If you had to make a free bet on that one, Doug Upstone, what would you take?
Oh, you giving me the free bet again this week? Okay, I'll take it this week. If I had to go with the free bet, I would say over, but I'm talking about like 72 or 73 wins for Kansas City.
Right. And +163 is the current line at 71.5. And then let's move on to Arizona. Arizona, of course, had a good year last year. They won 93 games. Right now, the win total is set at 85 at Pinnacle, so regression expected from Arizona. And the over is slightly juiced at -116. What are the pluses and minuses for Arizona this upcoming season, Doug?
Well, you look at the same. I mean, there's no doubt they have to come back in terms of season win total. I mean, they improved 24 games. I mean, from one year to the next. I mean, you're just not going to keep that same level going in baseball. Or if it happens, it's extremely rare. They're definitely going to miss offensively. They're going to miss J.D. Martinez hitting 29 home runs in 62 games for them. So that's a minus. I think their lineup is still good, but they have 3 positions in the everyday starting lineup that are, let's just say, negatives offensively. So I think they'll probably be in the 12th 12 to 15 range in terms of runs scored in all of baseball. So that'll put them slightly above average in the National League. They're also, I think they're going to miss, I'm not a big fan, but he had a great year, Fernando Rodney as a closer. I mean, he was 86.6%, 39 out of 45 last year. He's now with the Twins. They have some guys that can do the job. I think that's just more of a wait and see. But I still like their pitching staff, Peter. Last year, they had their lowest ERA in team history at 3.67. I think it's still good enough where they'll be under 4 overall. So when I put the whole package together, I'm not as high as I just mentioned in San Francisco. I think Colorado's a competitor to Arizona. I think the Dodgers are far and away above, and San Diego's wherever they are, lower than everybody else. I think there's still a team that's capable of getting to 85 wins or maybe a couple above that. So I'll lean with Arizona on the over 85 on this one.
Awesome analysis, Doug Upstone. As always, I look forward to doing our next MLB preview together. Talk to you again very soon, Doug Upstone.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.